$520.9 billion. That's how much the government estimates it will spend to do the country's business in the 2013-2014 financial year. The figure is a decrease of roughly $81 billion when compared to the last financial year, with the majority of cuts being on the capital side of the budget, ensuring that government continues to meet its most pressing commitments in a tight fiscal space. On the Capital A side of the budget, which deals with government programs like roads and bridges, $124 billion has been allocated. Capital B, which deals with programs funded jointly by government and multilateral and bilateral agencies, stands at $26 billion, $3 billion more. That puts a total of $150.38 billion at government's disposal for capital expenditure this fiscal year. Recurrent expenditure, money set aside to deal with housekeeping matters like wages and salaries, is budgeted to be $370.5 billion. That's almost $3 billion less than was allocated in the last fiscal year. Government was able to secure a wage restraint agreement with most public sector workers this calendar year, in line with requirements set out to achieve a new agreement with the International Monetary Fund. The estimates of expenditure will now be thoroughly examined by the Standing Finance Committee of Parliament before the budget debate begins on April 18. The members will be taking a closer look at allocations like the $390.25 billion amount set aside for the Ministry of Finance's commitments. That amount represents the single largest allocation in the 2013-2014 budget, with much of it dedicated to meeting Jamaica's debt obligations and paying public sector wages. Government, meanwhile, is determined that no child is to be left behind, so the second largest allocation, $78.4 billion, goes to the Ministry of Education. Crime fighters and their associated departments and agencies will get $48.2 billion to spend. And with healthcare being a priority for the government, $34 billion has been allocated. The Transport and Works Ministry, which has oversight responsibility for JEEP, the Jamaica Emergency Employment Program, gets an estimated $18 billion to spend in 2013-2014. Meanwhile, the Office of the Prime Minister gets $4.7 billion. Even in a tight fiscal environment, the less fortunate in the society have not been left out. The Ministry of Labour is set to receive $7 billion, a portion of which will go towards ensuring greater social protection for the needy through the Programme of Advancement through Health and Education path. The Tourism and Entertainment Ministry has been assigned $1.5 billion. For the Ministry of Local Government and Community Development, $7.6 billion, Youth and Culture $3.8, and Justice $4.7 billion. Services for farmers, fishermen, and other agricultural stakeholders will be maintained with a $6 billion allocation. Emphasis will be placed on capital projects for small farmers and the provision of technical assistance to improve their production. Water, land, environment, and climate change has been given $3.8 billion to spend. Foreign Affairs $3 billion, Industry, Investment and Commerce $1.8 billion, and Science, Technology, Energy and Mining $4.7 billion. When the Standing Finance Committee of Parliament convenes its deliberations on the budget from April 9 to 11, all 63 members of the House of Representatives will get an opportunity to air concerns or make recommendations for the final look of the document. Once that process is completed, Finance Minister Dr. Peter Phillips will tell the country how the budget is to be financed. That explanation is expected on Thursday, April 18, when the budget debate officially opens.